It's been an extremely long time since I've torn apart a film. Unfortunately for the invention of lying, it's on the chopping block today. This is an older film. Came out in 2009 with a budget of $18.5 million and a box office reaching $32.7 million. Rated 6.4 on IMDb and with a 54% score on Rotten Tomatoes. These scores should paint a solid picture, but honestly they don't. I remember seeing a trailer for this movie when I was younger and being fascinated by the idea of the film. Think of a world where lying doesn't exist until Mark Bellison finds out how, and he's the only person who can. The film is set up with the trope of this below-average guy who gains a little too much power. Think Bruce Almighty kind of films. There's romance, laughs, and important lessons for someone somewhere built around the premise of ultimate power ultimately corrupts. On a boring Monday, approaching midnight, the memory of this trailer is unlocked in my brain, and I wondered where I could watch this old film I missed out on. Free on YouTube without ads appears to be the perfect home for this movie. The other streaming services are attempting highway robbery by asking you to either rent or buy the film for an unacceptable price of $2.99. If you don't know, here's a quick summary of the film. Mark Bellison finds out he can lie, so he lies to get ahead and no one else can comprehend a lie, so everything that comes out of his mouth to them is truth. His lies put him in a precarious position as he's attempting to date Jennifer Garner. This film is awful. There are no laughs to be found outside of brutal honesty that not only doesn't feel warranted, it attempts to tiptoe the line between honest and fair criticism and rudeness, and the movie believes that it'll make you laugh. However, it will say that the movie does not age well as it drops the F word, meaning the other F word that can be called the slang for cigarettes in jolly old England, relatively early in the film. This probably robs you of any additional enjoyment you could possibly gotten out of the one-trick pony humor that is going to occur throughout the rest of the film. To make it worse, there's this shoehorned romantic story between the main characters that emphasizes, with honesty, that the female is not physically attracted to the male main character. Any rational person would tell you that this is completely okay. However, the film portrays that the woman is basically a secondary antagonist by revealing that her lack of physical attraction is due to the main character's body type and face structure. Although harsh, as it comes out in the form of brutal honesty, the film apparently wants you to shame Jennifer Garner's character, which I will not do, for having preferences in the looks of who she dates. Sure, not considering Mark due to his financial status was an interesting talking point, but the film quickly resolves that issue, and she's still unable to be with him based on physical attraction. Should Jennifer Garner marry the other guy? No, he's terrible. But if Jennifer Garner wants to find someone who looks like the other guy but makes her feel like Mark did, she has the right to do this. She doesn't owe the male characters anything. At the end of the film, Mark reveals the truth that he lied, which is a earth-shattering revelation Jennifer Garner's character handles with ease. Somehow. The man who has changed the world regarding his opinions about the afterlife has just told you that he lied, and everything he told you and the rest of the world was made up. So you, in her shoes, would do the most rational thing and leave, right? Nope, because then she marries him. You want to know the only thing worse than overly executed bad ideas? Poorly executed bad ideas. It's like the end of the script knew it was garbage, and it just needed to end it all quickly before your fever broke and you awoke in the hospital to find Ricky Gervais doing a comedy bit with your cadaver. This movie should be good in the moments where Mark is discovering the use of his new ability to lie and get ahead in life. There should be hijinks, white lies that don't cause harm, and general humor. But it's not. It's the most uninspired, unfunny, boring mess of a film. The height of his lies put him into a situation in which a religious parody is on full blast, which I will get to later. Mark's ability to lie somehow makes him more aware of his humanity as he attempts to do some good to the people around him and not lie his way to love with Jennifer Garner. This is probably the best aspect of the film as it creates an interesting dialogue regarding the use of lying and its potential benefits. Lying isn't always as black and white as knowing something is wrong versus right, but like most of life, there may be shades of gray for simple ignorance. Let me lay that out for you. We have to have sex right now, or the world is going to end. This is a black and white lie. There's no honesty in that statement, and it was used as a way to gain an unfair advantage in a situation. I'm no attorney, but somewhere, somehow, this is probably some form of sexual assault. You're going to a better place after you die can be seen as a shades of gray lie. You likely do not have any physical evidence of an afterlife that would be widely accepted. You may not even believe in it yourself, but since it cannot be proven, your lie is less of knowing right versus wrong, but being ignorant as the situation is impossible to know. You also tell this lie out of a place in your heart to comfort an individual you're speaking to. It has some sort of empathy or merit, and you're generally gaining nothing of value for this lie. Mark's ability to lie has little consequence as he cannot be proven wrong. It is simply fact. Although the bicycle was invented well before he was even alive, if he were to lie and say that he is the inventor, it is simply accepted regardless of how illogical. It is this lack of structure to how this alternate reality works where the film breaks down almost instantaneously because there's no proper escalation, no questioning of Mark, and his own internal questioning falls flat. This is actually not me being nitpicky. Typically with ideas that are hard to execute, I would be a little more forgiving. But the alternate reality you get is a fever dream dystopia of brutally honest humans who have extremely limited free will. It's like a Garden of Eden, except everyone is in an anonymous Twitter account. Remember that religious parody I discussed? Allow me to set the scene. Mark tells his dying mother about the afterlife to comfort her. The doctor and nurses in the room overhear this heartfelt speech and hear what they understand is the truth that no one has ever spoken before. Mark has the keys to the afterlife everyone wants. This leads to a mass gathering outside of his home asking him many questions. Mark decides to change the entirety of the world by making rules to live by, as his words will be regarded as truth as he faces tough questions regarding the afterlife and life itself. He takes hours to build what is a clear parody of the Ten Commandments and uses Pizza Hut boxes as his stone tablets as he addresses the crowds. He mentions that a man in the sky controls everything good and bad that has ever happened in the world. Knowing and hearing the truth doesn't make you act on it. The ability to lie, or in this film's case, the lack thereof, does not change your ability to choose to act on the truth. The film attempts to shoehorn this lesson into the love story at the very end, but ignores it throughout the entirety of the movie. It's almost as if they forgot there was a romantic subplot and roped it in at the end because they realized Garner was still on set. If you know jumping on the couch will get you in trouble, and you jump on the couch and then you get in trouble, is the issue the fact that you didn't believe you were going to get in trouble if you did jump on the couch? Therefore, you are able to perceive a lie. Or is it that you understood the consequences based on the believed truth and did so anyway, because you have free will? This sort of philosophical thinking is at the core of this movie, but is somehow never once addressed in a real way. The answer could be either or, but what the invention of lying tells you is that the former choice doesn't exist at the beginning of the film because this is a world without lying. The film tells you the latter choice doesn't or rarely exist. For the majority of the film, it wants you to swallow this pill of truth being accepted as absolute causes people to actually act on it, which is not logical in the real world, and not just because we can perceive lies, but because we have free will. Somehow, the lack of lies in the film's world have created minds malleable to the will of truth, as lies cannot be perceived. But the truth can't be dissected and individually acted upon either. The film tries to pull a Pleasantville without putting in the effort of making the world function consistently. Simply put, you can comprehend something as the truth without acting on it. Something the rational institutions of the Judeo-Christian faith have probably already figured out. I can forgive the invention of lying for coming down to Mark Bellis and having a Jimmy Neutron brain blast. I can forgive not entirely fleshing out an extremely convoluted idea. I can forgive cheesy romantic stories, especially when Jennifer Garner is involved. But to be an uninspiring, poorly aged, boring film with a star-studded cast, this movie belongs in a Squid Game incinerator alongside copies of Elektra and Daredevil. 3 out of 10 on the official BlackmansLog scale.